I got two as well.
Okay. All right. So, just you and me. Everybody else's schedule is all messed up, but we got questions and uh we can get going on the questions, but I did see Behrooz won China.
I saw that and I do not agree.
Uh I've that's what I hear from a lot of people. I haven't even looked at oh, you're the first person that popped up on
Huh.
my Instagram. What are you doing here?
Huh. Some pull downs.
Mega Mass?
Yeah, that's the Megamask. It's their copy of the Flex Leverage. I really like it underhand like that. The problem is once if we get towards the farther in the set here, when you get close to failure, you just kind of stop. You really can't
Yeah.
like grind any reps out. So,
Yeah.
but I was feeling a little bit confident today. I was feeling okay about myself, so I actually posted for the first time in like 4 or 5 months.
That's good. I am so jealous because my shoulder is so messed up and I
My
just want to
shoulders
freak.
and my shoulders are like the best joint in my body right now. People say,
Dude,
oh, they have like elbow issues or shoulder issues. Those are okay for me. It's my hips and knees that go to shit.
oh, I'm fine lower body. I like this Mega Mass machine. I love it. It's so smooth.
It is. I, I know
Uh,
it looks like I'm just leaning way far back, but I promise my sternum is on the chest pad. So I don't want to hear any crap from people.
no, I think so. It's kind of like the same thing with pull downs, with how far back you go with your torso, where you want to hit your back. And everyone's so different because like your leverage points are different. So kind of like if I'm like for this, if I'm going to hit my like the middle of my back and my rhomboids and such and my traps up
Mhm.
on top, I'm going to lean far back. But if I want to hit my lower back on this, I can kind of push myself up against a little bit more.
Mhm.
Um, but then I lose like the connection with my lats. So like your how your elbows are so far out over here. Like for
Yeah.
me, I have to keep mine in to where like my triceps rub up against my lat to if I want to focus on my lat. But there's like you can hit your back in so many different ways on this machine
Oh,
and just machines in
absolutely.
general.
I know a lot
Yeah,
of people love
and
doing it single arm. Maybe I'm just impatient, but like the single arm pull downs and the single arm rows, it just takes so long to do a set. I'm just out of shape, so I gas out before the muscle gets tired.
yeah.
So, but I promise that that was not a paid promotion for my page. I did not put Andrew up to that.
Let's see. No, I like seeing the training because it is again, people are like, no, you have to like train people are like you have to like set it up at a specific uh how your body mechanics have to be set up a specific way in order to use this machine how it's designed to, which is totally, I guess, interpretive. And
Mm,
I feel like that's like the science-based guys, and I understand it, Joe Bennett and Jeff Nippert and all those people and Nunez have like a big cult following for that.
mm.
But it's like they're working for like the people who are on the Olympia stage, right? Like at
Oh,
least at
absolutely.
least that's where that really matters, getting those fine little tiny details like with Joe Bennett. But if I'm just trying to build mass, like I'm trying to move that weight in a way that I can just feel it.
Hmm.
And what muscle group I want to feel because like I don't know, every machine's so different because there's some machines I can't use a lot of hammer strength.
Yep.
So
I I like some like the underhand lat pull down. I like that one usually. Uh, I find most of their other back machines aren't fantastic. Some of their, I mean, I get why a lot of gyms purchase them because they're durable and they aren't crazy expensive. So if
Yeah.
something breaks, usually you don't need to send off for this one particular tiny part that only is made in Switzerland or something. So something breaks, they can fix it within a week. So I totally get why a lot of gyms do it, but Hammer Strength is definitely not my favorite brand to work on.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, it's crazy after however many years of lifting and then somewhere down the line, like it just finally clicks to where you can like, I feel like, I don't know if it's like someone gives you the right cues to listen to, or you've actually built up enough muscle mass to where now you can
Mm-hmm.
actually feel it. Cause like so since I can't work out with like my right arm, I was doing back with my wife on Saturday and I was just using my left arm and I had to stop because it just felt weird because my whole lat on my left side was all pumped and then my right
Mm-hmm.
side wasn't. And I was just like, it was like weird to like walk. Like, I don't know, like you,
Yep.
and it was like visually different. So I was just like, okay, I gotta freaking stop because I don't know how people do that during injury, but yeah, like I don't know, like the whole like I want to work out and squeeze and contract that muscle to where to the points where it like almost like cramps.
Yep.
You know? Um, yeah. Any, anyways. Um, yeah, James looked really good. Conditioning, really, really great. His
Absolutely.
abdomen. I think the video blurs him out a bit because his stomach
Yep.
always looks like that. But the vascularity in his legs it looks like Roman's whenever you see Roman on like a screen. And then you look at him
Yep.
in real life and he's like 1,000% better. So
Yep. But I'm just looking at
Behrooz,
even James's dryness from the back and those lats put in the back double. It seems
yeah,
miles ahead of Behrooz in my opinion. I get why Behrooz may have won because he's definitely a more aesthetic guy, and they seem to be moving more that way and really focusing on the waistline. I mean, even in that side tricep where you can really see the thickness in James, you can see just the stomach is wider. It's not
yeah,
distended, but it is a thicker torso, so it's not as streamlined. But I know I saw it on one of like AJ Kelly's stories. He always does like who's winning left or right. And I think it was like
yeah,
when I voted, it was 74% were in favor of James.
yeah. I mean, this is man, is this the best James? You know what I mean?
I think this is the
Uh,
best we've ever seen him for sure. I'm not sure if it's the best he could ever be. Because I mean, just looking at that pose there, you can see the abs do still get washed out. You see good chest fullness, good arm separation, crazy leg vascularity and definition, but also not a super nice taper like Behrooz is. So
look
some of
at
that is
Bruise's.
definitely genetics.
Yeah, that taper, that lat versus James is James.
Mm,
I mean, he's his lats are not small, but when he hits that side shot, you see how thick they are. But they
yep,
look small, I think, just because of the midsection. So
yep.
like his obliques. And yeah, Beirut's he man, I bet he has some deep abs. Like that's uh, I don't know.
Oh, absolutely,
He,
yeah.
I think James' abs are just a little shallow. Like
And that's
that
always been
thick
his issue.
that thickness and like oh man, that's freaking nuts how thick he is from the back.
Mm,
Um I think Beirut was just by this I is he holding a little bit of water to match the fullness of James. I don't know if he's like bone dry as James.
oh, he's definitely not, in my opinion, especially from that
Yeah.
picture. You can see, I mean, you can see all the striations in James's traps and even like in
Yeah.
the delts, you can see him from the back. With Behrooz, it seems more like a smooth muscle through the erector region and the
Yeah.
rhomboids.
I
So
mean,
James definitely seems to have a lot more density and dryness, but Behrooz just has the width and the taper, so it's a more aesthetic physique to look at. Maybe it's just
yeah.
me being relatively wide-waisted white guy, but I really like James's physique. I've been a big fan pretty much ever since I started bodybuilding when he was with Redcon. He did like all the videos with Luke Sando and he like the grocery shopping videos. I think James is just he's such an interesting character, one in his personality, but seeing some of his training is crazy to see, and then just the results of the physique are wild because I think he turned pro in the late teens, but he's been competing just for so long. I think
Yeah.
he's mid 40s now, isn't he?
I have no idea. He's been competing for a very long time. Um, yeah, I have no idea.
I
But
will look it up here.
uh, yeah, I don't even know if Google's ever correct about people's ages. Yeah, I feel like we tend to gravitate toward a bodybuilder that we associate with as far as physique wise. I'm
Mm-hmm.
wide waisted as well. I got very wide hip bones, but my waist is very small.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so I like James as far as like the physique goes and to see the potential in that. Man, if he had like the hips and abdominal structure of Dennis Wolf, like
Mm-hmm. It would be
lights
crazy.
out.
I mean,
Yeah.
they were just playing the what if game because we said, oh, what if he had the width of, uh, like I said, Dennis Wolf or the roundness of Compton. So we're playing the what if game there, which
Yeah.
really with bodybuilding you can't because everyone's going to have some kind of weakness there. So it's like, what if
Yeah.
he didn't have this weakness? Well, then he would win. But he does
Yeah.
have that
Yeah.
weakness, so we can't say that.
It would just be a nutty guy,
Mm.
Be funny. Um,
Google says he's 37, by the way, so I was way off there.
37.
I just know he
How
was
old?
saying a few years back that he was kind of considering retirement, but I think that was a lot of guys started like, hey, after 35, they come a little bit more health conscious, just for whatever reason. The kind of like 35 is the cutoff age of maybe we lower some of the doses on the cycles, maybe we aren't training uh, Dorian Yates style or just super heavy anymore. Maybe they're doing a little bit more precise work. Seems like 35 is kind of that turning point for a lot of guys. And he was saying that he maybe wanted to be out of the sport after 35, but he's obviously still in it after the birth of his kid. So,
Yeah, it's like a new vigor.
yep.
Um, yeah, I didn't know he was like around my age. That is insane, man. Um, yeah. What ifs? Um, let's see.
What if Samson came in the same shape as James? Then he would be a multi-time Mr. Olympia.
If that dude hits, I'm still convinced that because he got so lean and flat, I feel like he's going to be pretty awesome this Olympia.
Mm. I'm excited to see Samson's package he brings to the stage. I'm sure he'll usually do like one show close to the Olympia just to kind of warm up or whatever it is. But either way, I'm excited to see what he brings because I was like, oh, he's 350, 360 in the offseason. He's got to lose so much weight to get in shape. But the dude was still in better shape than most amateurs on stage.
Yeah. Yeah, it's insane. Um, you want to get into some questions? You said you had two.
I have two.
You can go ahead and let's see hear yours.
The first one, a bit of a pivot here to more of the health side of things. Uh, I had a buddy who was coaching a client, and they've been working together for about 4 or 5 months. So, on diet, doing training, doing cardio. They've trained together, so he knows he trained with some intensity. But he had a fasting insulin of 30, and his A1C was in range at like 5.3, 5.4. Fasting glucose was in 88, but a fasting insulin that high after kind of being metabolically in a better spot was somewhat surprising. So if someone came to you with a consult on that, where they're probably 22 to 25% body fat, glucose numbers in range, both A1C and fasting numbers, high lipids of like 200 LDL, so not crazy high, but not good either.
Yeah.
But then a 30 fasting insulin with a normal cortisol, what would you think of that?
I would ask for a full thyroid panel.
Okay.
Um, Usually, like what I see when you have that circumstance, the fasting insulin is usually caused by some sort of impairment with the thyroid. So possibly losing body weight can would be my first suggestion. Like we are definitely
Yeah.
going on a cut.
Mhm.
But probably if depending on what the blood work comes back for the thyroid panels, you might be using some T3 or a T3 T4 blend, just because the thyroid, the T3 allows insulin to penetrate into the cell. It's allowed to go through the door,
Okay.
and so like if the T3 isn't working correctly, then the pancreas is going to sit there and keep pumping out insulin. So I would probably uh, do that. That would be my first thing, right? So lose body fat, get a thyroid panel, and most likely you're going to see some impairment with the T3, with like a free T3, and supplement with that. So that's
Would
the
it
route that I
change
go.
your answer at all if you later found out they had fasted for 36 hours before the test?
Yeah, I would still think it's thyroid. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. There's a lot of things that the thyroid's connected to, and you never see people get full thyroid panels.
Yep.
So yeah, and I'm very intrigued by the thyroid too. I think that I'm not a big fan of T3 by itself.
I know we've
Uh,
discussed this in the past. I
yeah,
think that was the
but
first
when
message we've ever exchanged.
yeah, but when it comes to stuff like this, I think you're looking at low doses of like 7.25, you know,
That low,
um,
okay.
yeah, splitting them up and or with the T3, T4 blend and kind of tapering up from there. But uh and the T4 again, you're probably starting off pretty low, like 25, 50 mix. Um
Okay.
yeah, that would be my route to go. But the body fat is the first main concern
Yeah.
as well. I bet it like, it probably would clear up with getting rid of all that body fat.
That was my thought as well. Just
Yeah.
they've been working together for like 5 months on a consistent diet, but with lipids not really improving much. I was kind of wondering, hey, maybe there's some drinking going on that we don't know about, or some off-plan meals that aren't being disclosed.
Yeah.
Because I
Yeah.
mean, with lifestyle clients, you're not living with them. You don't know exactly what they're doing. You just kind of only take their word for it.
Yeah, yeah. And sometimes with those, I would have a meal plan to where it goes super low on the calories. And I want to see because I'm like in my head, you should be losing weight. And if you're not complaining, I would do let's say like 4 days to 5 days of super low calories. So if he was sitting at like a 2,400 calorie a day, I would drop it to like 1,700 a day. And if he's not complaining that it's hard, then you're probably cheating. And so that's my
Mm,
first way of telling if someone's true or not.
yep.
So, yeah. Yeah. Uh, okay. I got some. What foods typically cause GI issues that a bodybuilder should limit or avoid?
Uh, Usually, super high fat foods would be the first ones I would look at, just because they digest so slowly and they're pretty common in the American diet. So I know if I'm like going out to eat and I have a ribeye, I'm maybe shitting my guts the next day just due to the amount of fat in the meal. So that'd be the first thing I would look at. Uh, Other things would be super high in artificial sweeteners. Like if you find out you're adding 3 tablespoons of Splenda to their oatmeal, that's going to cause an issue there. Those would be ones I would immediately look at. Again, kind of with that same vein of the artificial sweeteners, I would look at the ones that have super high insoluble fiber. If they're trying to like, oh, indigestible calories, so then therefore we need to count them on the label, but you still taste them. That's what I would immediately think of. Those would be the outliers. I'll let you go from there, but I also think of a few other ones if we can't think of anything else.
Yeah, anything that is like cruciferous vegetables, um, is pretty offensive. Eggs, egg whites,
Yep.
uh, it, there are like vegetables in general, some fruits, like maybe you're eating like like uh high histamine fruits like avocados and such, bananas. Maybe you're eating too many apples. Apples have a lot of fruits and also like sweet potato, they have natural uh sugar alcohols in them, so they can cause GI distress. And even if you go on a low FODMAP diet, so like let's say, oh, I'm eating berries and it still gives me problems, sometimes the volume that you eat is the reason. So like keep everything in moderation. So with all those things, I mean, I would say make your meals smaller first. I would not eliminate foods. I would make your meals smaller and try to have more meals throughout the day and see if that helps. So see if it's like a
Mhm.
volume thing. And then if it still gives you problems, take things out or switch things. Same thing like with chicken. Maybe it's, I've seen a difference between minced meats and like whole meats. So get, you might be better off getting ground chicken than eating chicken breast.
Right.
And
Even like ground beef instead of a steak would be a good option because you're not
yeah,
chewing as much. Then also it's easier for the
yeah,
body to break down for a similar reason. Because if you eat like a 15-gram piece of steak and you don't chew it thoroughly enough, that's just a big chunk of food sitting in the stomach.
yeah, yeah. And you're supposed to chew like 50 times or something before you swallow, right? Because that's
I
where
get
you.
5 bites on a good bite.
Yeah, it's something crazy because that starts the digestive process and the enzymes in your mouth and it
Mhm.
prepares it for your gut, right? So like it doesn't cause all this fermentation. Another thing with vegetables, so like I still don't mind broccoli, and typically I find broccolini better digestible than broccoli, and it doesn't. And I'm not the biggest advocate of like eating organic. I don't think it really matters, in my opinion. But I like to cook. If you cook all of your vegetables and you make them softer, that'll break down the cellulose and make it easier to digest.
Yep.
Also, it releases more micronutrients and it activates them. So, like cooking tomatoes activates lycopene. And then, yeah, I think those are my
In a
tricks.
similar vein to like reducing the size of them, I know that a lot of times when bodybuilders get into a contest prep diet, the amount of water they use in their cream of rice or their oatmeal goes up and up and up because they're trying to get more volume out of it. And that can cause digestive issues because it can dilute some of the digestive acid in your stomach. People will say, like, oh, you shouldn't drink water with your meals, or like 15 minutes on either side of them either. I think that's a bit on the extreme end. But if you're going from adding 2 times the water in the off season to 10 times at the end of prep, that's a big difference in digestibility.
Yeah. You do this for years and years and years, and you just like push through it without trying to figure out the problem because uh trying to eat as much food in voluminous meals to grow, I mean that has to I just feel like that has to cause a distension in your gut, which could lead to like these hernias. Because I feel like that's how I got my hernia from eating the amount of food. And then if you're switching to more liquid meals, I don't think it's any better because that's how Hunter Labrada messed up his GI tract.
Hmm.
If I'm correct, like I don't want to misspeak, but I'm pretty sure he just like your stomach, your intestinal lining's still a smooth muscle. So if you don't have the roughage and things to make it contract and you're just doing liquids, you're gonna have some pretty wild bowel movements. So yeah, I feel like it's such a important thing to go ahead and nip this in the butt. But yeah,
I
I
know
feel like
that,
everyone's so different.
and people really demonize dairy products and gluten. I think you shouldn't be having every meal of made out of pasta, but I don't think gluten's the devil. You just gotta, if you haven't had it in several years, you have to reintroduce it on the slower side of things, in my opinion. But I mean, even sourdough bread, which is treated as like, oh, this great gut food for all the prebiotics in it, or probiotics, one of the two. You need to use high gluten flour to make that bread. So the issue isn't gluten normally, it's the other crap they put in gluten containing products. Because if you just buy a loaf of bread off a shelf, then you have issues from it. You're going to think, oh, it's the gluten. Maybe it's the 15 different preservatives they put in that loaf of bread.
Yeah, and there's so many different flavors and stuff now that they have. So like
Yep.
how like I understand the whole concept of sourdough fermentation, better digestibility. If you make it at home, I think it's really actually works. And then you can do different flavors that way at
Mm-hmm.
home. But if you're buying it from like the grocery store, dude, I mean, I go to the grocery store a lot, right? And I walk up and down the aisles because I love to see the new products out and I love
Yep.
marketing and just the crazy flavors and concoctions that they make now. And it's like now, everything went from gluten free, right? That was a big kick a while ago. Now everything is like sourdough. And then you look at the
Yep.
back of the ingredients and it's just like a little bit of sourdough. And it's kind of like the same thing you're gonna see with milk because you're going to see
Mm-hmm.
everyone start using A2 milk, but it's just going to be like a tiny bit. So I just think that it's funny because there's way more probably offensive ingredients and it's like lesser of the ingredients that you're looking for.
Yep. I mean, I know Costco came out with, because I love Costco, I have to mention it every podcast. They came out with like this blueberry sourdough. So I was like, ooh, like, I love blueberries. I love sourdough. It's going to be a great combination. The, the length of ingredients was longer than the muffins. And
Yeah,
a
it's hard to
little
find.
secret for most commercially made sourdough, they may have a little bit of sourdough starter in there, but then they also use yeast. So they just get the flavor of the sourdough and they can claim, oh, it's sourdough bread. But that doesn't mean the yeast is actually doing the fermentation and the rising that you need for bread. And it's probably yeast and not the sourdough.
Yeah. Um, it reminds me of like the amino spiking back in the day with the proteins. It's kind of that same thing. Same thing with like protein now. It's like you're looking at the back of the label, where's this protein come from? It's like gluten, wheat protein. I'm like, okay,
Yep.
this is trash.
What are we doing here?
Um, what's your next question?
Uh, with the current shortage going on right now of growth hormone,
Oh,
and
jeez.
you had to choose between using growth hormone in the off season or in prep, which one would you use it in? And you cannot say half, just half the dose and do it in both. You have to choose one.
You want to marry a gay person and then just use theirs for both. Um, uh, I would use it during prep. I would just want the fat loss benefits from it.
That is the most expensive fat burner you will ever buy.
I re I respond well to it. Plus, it keeps me like nice and bubbly because I'm a white guy that has long, flat muscles. So I think I want to like enhance my physique that way. I think in the off season, I can take enough uh, like anabolics and androgenic steroids just to maintain growth.
But you
Um,
do a lot of insulin, you get the same amount of bubbly.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So I think I would most likely use it for prep. Yeah. And I so that way I can split it up throughout the day. So
See, I'll go the opposite way. I would use it in the off season. Number one, because if you have to choose one, your off season should be longer than your prep. So I get more time with GH than you do. So sucks to be you. But also, I think the nutrient partitioning that it gives is more important than the fat loss benefits. It may add like a 1 or 2% bonus there to fat loss if you take a couple IU several times a day with like cardio and then pre-workout and then before bed. There's a little bit of fat loss there, but I would rather just eat 20 less carbs or take a little bit more clean, and I can get the same amount of fat loss benefits. Versus in the off season, that growth hormone does so much nutrient partitioning. After that, I could stay leaner and not have as much fat that I have to lose when I'm dieting.
yeah, I retain so much water with it, like in the off season. Like when I'm thinking about back in the day, competing, I would just because of my food volume, with carbs, I
Yep.
just and that was such a problem because I am very sensitive to growth hormone, and there's no way I would be able to be comfortable enough. So like it would interrupt my sleep. So then it goes back to like what we were talking about with Tommy. It's like my sleep would be so impaired and my stress levels would be so high. I don't know if I'd even grow. Like I feel like I would do better. Like I'd rather just run a bunch of train in the off season.
That's a great swap. Get rid of the GH and just take Tren. Fantastic, fantastic choice.
Yeah. Yeah, but I get uh yeah, I freaking get shrink wrapped with growth hormone if I'm prepping. So I like it. Yeah. Um, okay. Leucine for old guys, beneficial or is it all BS? Is
Say
12.5
leucine.
grams really the dosing? Yeah,
What for
leucine.
old guys?
Is leucine for old guys, is it
Oh,
beneficial or is it BS?
leucine, like the protein.
Like, I mean, yeah, the amino acid. Yeah.
You should not be buying leucine by itself. You should be eating chicken. I get where they come from because leucine is supposed to signal muscle growth. But if you're getting complete protein from a high quality protein powder, or if you're eating just meat, you're getting leucine anyways. I know I have never bought leucine on its own, but I've heard it tastes terrible. And if you're going to hate
Yes.
drinking it every day, then you're not going to drink it. I still have a couple tubs of Tudka powder that I will never use because they just taste so bad and it lasts for so long. I don't care how much cheaper it is. I'm not using
That yeah, that reminds me. I bought betaine HCl instead of betaine anhydrous in powder form,
it.
and I didn't even like think to look at the label because I'm like, I know what I bought, and it burnt so bad. It was terrible.
Hopefully, you didn't make too big of a
Um,
batch of stuff with it.
I just it was like years ago, and I just threw it away. Uh, yeah, leucine, man. I would just yeah, they're coming out with all these di and tripeptides and stuff. So this person, he is natural. He's an older guy. I think he's still natural. I don't know. But I mean, I would be more. I'd be more inclined to use HMB with my meals. Like I would enhance my meals with it, or I would just drink whey protein isolate on top of a meal and get the leucine content that way. I just don't know what's more expensive nowadays. I mean, leucine powder obviously is cheaper, but it tastes disgusting, and you have to take a lot of it versus HMB. You're already getting what leucine is trying to give you. So I would just go with HMB. It's pretty cheap now.
No,
Yeah.
I like HMB too. I would never add it to a standalone just because I feel like there are better options for enhanced guys. But it is a good anti-catabolic, and like I said, it's not too expensive. It can be flavored pretty easily. It's not bad at all.
Yeah. Um, do you think I can live to 90 with being on 200 milligrams of test a week?
I don't think you would have any better chance if you weren't taking it. Is it? I mean, took, if you had stupid lifestyle choices, whether it be anabolic wise or just if you were smoking, drinking, partying it up in your 20s, you're taking time off in your 90s either way. But I don't think taking TRT, even up to a high TRT of 200 milligrams, is going to decrease your ability to live to 90.
Hey, when do you think you're going to stop using TRT? What age?
Stop using TRT or stop blasting cycles? Like me
Well,
personally, or
I mean,
in general?
yeah, I mean, yeah, you personally, like when you get off being bodybuilder, right? And you go and
Mm,
you're like however old and you start TRT just for longevity, right? When do you stop TRT then? At like what age? I'm thinking like 80s. Like, am I going to, or maybe, I don't know.
maybe 80s, because I mean, I think at some point you may just kind of get sick of pinning, but if you've done it for 60 years, I don't think another 5 is going to be any worse.
Yeah.
Potentially, if you lose the ability to kind of reach any muscles, or if your muscles are too damaged just from scar tissue from all those years, potentially. But I do get, I mean, it's like, oh, I'm on 200 milligrams now. Do I just stop and crash my hormones because I turned 71?
Yeah, it's like I feel like that would be super detrimental. I would definitely switch to
Yeah,
an oral or a topical. I don't know.
the topicals are fresh on my mind because I just had the other day like a half-hour argument with someone because they were trying to say, oh, I use transdermal tadalafil rather than just taking a pill. And he was just so adamant it was just way, way better than taking the oral one, and everyone should be using it. It's just why.
Where do you apply that? Your chode?
I don't know. I think you do like a weird 20% concentration, and like I think just most topicals to get hormones into your body are so much of a pain to try and dose correctly, and then to apply correctly, and there's contamination. And did I
Yeah.
get 4 milliliters in this pump, or was it 6 milliliters? You're gonna have so many more swings.
Yeah, the clinical ones, the prescription ones are pretty good. I know my wife, she's gonna go get her test. No, she got her, what did she do? Yeah, she's going to get her test levels checked. Because I was like, I think it's your testosterone is low, and then she went to her doctor, and their doctor's like, I think it might be your test levels. And then so we're going to use topical for her, but because I seen it work for other women as well, but I've never
I
seen it
think
work for men.
there's much more of a use case for women, because for men, there's so much of a risk of transferring to your partner.
Yeah.
And even if it was incidental, if they got 25% of a male dose, that's going to cause a problem.
Yeah, I think the female dose is like 10 milligrams transdermal. I don't remember. 7 milligrams.
I'm not sure.
I
I
can't
know
remember.
they need like 5 to 7 milligrams active in the body. That's like a
Yeah.
relatively normal female
I
TRT
told,
dose.
yeah, I told her like put it on make sure to put it on her thigh and like not on her like armpits and stuff because then like the kids might rub up against it. Uh, um
Just trying to get athletes over there, aren't you? Trying to get
yeah.
just skiller soccer players.
Someone asked me about that. If they were like, would I give my kids uh growth hormone or steroids? So
Absolutely not.
yeah.
I mean, I know I personally don't want kids. And if they decided to go into bodybuilding, I may give them advice, but that's like, hey, can you get me a vial of test? No. If you
Yeah.
can't get it yourself, or you can't ask a gym buddy, then you shouldn't be using it.
Yeah, I told him like I'll guide them to do it correctly, but I'm not gonna like buy it for them.
No, absolutely not. And also,
Unless we
they have to be at least 18 to make that decision.
yeah,
They come to you
unless
at
we buy in
12
bulk.
saying,
If we buy in bulk and we get a great discount, then I might go halvesies.
But again, they better be 18 because I don't think they're going to be able to go halves on when they're 12.
Yeah. I'm sure when they're in high school that I'm for sure they're going to start like SARMs or something. But it is what it is. Um, do you have you got a current TV show that's your favorite?
I know I was just binging. It's called SWAT on Netflix. It's a procedural show. It's like 7 seasons though, so it was enjoyable just to have kind of as background noise while I was doing other things because I could tune in at pretty much any point and still pick up the storyline. There's no big drama going on. I've been enjoying the new season of House of the Dragon. I don't I don't always love the Game of Thrones shows, but I read the books a few months back and I kind of got back into the universe. So I have been enjoying this season. Let me think what else. I finished Animal Kingdom and that was good. But I would say if you haven't seen the original Netflix Daredevil show, it's a fantastic watch. Like not when they were bought out by Disney, but like season 1 and 2 of Daredevil or The Punisher season 1 when it was made by Netflix and not Marvel. It was very good.
I never knew that. I haven't seen any of those that you just said.
Oh, uh,
Um, I'm trying to think of what I just finished. Uh, oh man, I've been watching a lot of the Netflix ones that they're like 10 episodes or 8 episodes, but I'm trying to think of like The Boys was something that was good. V Gen V was okay. I just kept watching it just because. And yeah, I like corny shows too, man. I like The Rookie.
I don't
It's
think
on
I've seen that
Hulu.
one.
Yeah, it's like corny shows. It's kind of like um what's another one? I don't know. They're just like it's like a cop show and it's just corny stuff. But you know, that The Pit is really good. I'm waiting for the next season for that because that's like
That one was
legitimate
good for sure.
what goes on. But other than that, I have not gotten into any of like the Marvel stuff. I feel like all that stuff is just I like the superhero things, but it is just very what's the word? Like they have a purpose for why they're making it and they have like an agenda that they're trying to get across, and I don't like the
That's
agenda.
why I liked the Netflix version of like the Daredevil and Punisher and Jessica Jones and everything. Because number one, there wasn't really an agenda. Yes, there were maybe some Jessica had like super strength and Daredevil had these senses, but they weren't flying around with magic hammers or they weren't Iron Man fighting global threats. It was a bit more of like a local level thing where they were taking down uh, like a street gang that was terrorizing the neighborhood or kind of stuff like that.
Huh. Gotta check it out. Um, rank in order of priority: drugs, food, training, sleep, recovery slash body work.
I would say training is number one always because it's what makes you grow. After that would be food because it's what supports the training, whether it be fat loss or muscle gain. I think sleep and drugs could be kind of a toss up there because you get a natty who has perfect sleep, all these recovery methods, perfect diet, the best training plan. They're still not going to be a 280-pound monster. So I do think drugs are important. But if you're sleeping 2 hours a night, then you're also not going to be a 280-pound monster. So I think if we say between those two, if one was perfect and one was absolutely terrible, then I would say probably sleep and then drugs because you can still grow without that. Yeah, like sleep then drugs because you can grow without getting too complicated with the drugs. But if we're saying the other one was still in decent shape, then I would say drugs over sleep because you see guys sleeping 4 to 5 hours a night between coaching and a full time job and training and everything, and they do still build some respectable physiques.
Yeah.
And then I love body work, but it's always going to be at the bottom because you don't need to be doing ice baths and daily massage and uh, I do sauna can be nice for health, but most of the recovery methods out there are vastly overrated when you would probably be better spent rather than going to the spa and getting a hour and a half massage with dry needling would probably help you more to get an hour and a half nap.
Yeah. Naps are awesome.
I do love naps.
I think I had like one nap in a year. Great. Um, um,
The post
right.
workout nap is always the best one, though. Like you
Yeah.
come home, you train really hard, come home, eat a good meal, and then just take a nap for like half an hour. It's fantastic.
Yeah. Freaking love it. That used to be what we would do before kids. Right now, if I were to pick in priority, recovery and body work would be my number one for for my arm. Um, I think food, then training, then drugs, sleep, and body work recovery. Um, yeah.
Why food over training? Because I mean, you can have the perfect diet, but if you're not training, you're not going to grow.
I think if your digestion's all jacked up, your training's not going to be good. Like I can't train bloated and such. So if my food is not on point, I feel terrible and I'm not able to recover and like partition my nutrients. So like when I'm thinking of food, I'm also thinking of like how does like my blood sugar, my insulin sensitivity and stuff, bloating and things like that. So I'm also thinking about all those things that go into your food choices and food timing. I would rather skip a day of training if I'm so like if let's say I was constipated for like 3 days, like I'm most likely going to skip training on the third day, try to relax my body, try to clean up my meals, maybe even fast a bit and just and then really get my body back to normal, and then I would have a better training day the next day because there's like days I on leg days like if I'm bloated and like for some reason I it's like I can't get into like a good like squat stance. So like it's just it's hard to breathe. Um, I feel like I'm gonna
You're
like
just
I feel like that.
describing life being heavy. It's going to be hard to breathe.
Yeah.
So you're going to have, if you bend over, you're going to have problems. You're going to be gassy sometimes. In fact, that's
This
just part of
is
being heavy sometimes.
this is why I downsized. Oh man. But yeah, I just think that when I look at food, I look at food at an entirely different like perspective, I think, than a lot of people. But yeah, man, if I'm not properly assimilating my food, I'm not gonna be able to train. Like I've skipped training with people because of that. Like especially doing abs. Man, you can do
I don't do abs.
like yeah, that's part of my rotation right now. Abs, calves, legs, cardio, and that's it. Um, yeah, that's my priority. I can outdrug my sleep, or I can take drugs for sleeping.
It's
Uh,
true.
okay. Uh, which ones do I want to do? You want to do some overrated, underrated, or do you want to do some FMK?
Let's do overrated, underrated.
Mofo. Current open bodybuilders. What's overrated current open bodybuilders and the underrated current open bodybuilders?
I think overrated. Quinton for sure is overrated in my opinion, and I hate to say it, but I feel like Hutchinson is getting a bit more hype than he's really gonna pull off on stage. I think it's somewhat in a similar, both him and Joe potentially are in a similar vein to where James was actually a few years back, where he was coming into the Olympia. People said, "Oh, he could be like top three to top five," and then he came in 15th.
Yeah.
Where they get so much social media hype because they do have a decent sized following, and then they don't really show it on stage.
Okay. I think overrated. It's a toss up, man. Regan Grimes,
Yeah,
overrated. And man, it's, yeah. And then underrated,
I have
Colossus,
Ken.
Colossus
Yep,
Lee.
Ken.
Yeah. I think
Then I was going to say
he's underrated.
also Ali Edwards. He was the guy who won the
Oh yeah,
show
yeah,
a few weeks back. I feel like he won. I think, oh, he looks fantastic. Maybe like they were comparing him next to Samson because they were both big black guys. So of course they have to compare them.
yeah,
And now you hear nothing.
yeah, yeah. I still think Tonio's underrated. I feel
See,
like
I'm not the biggest Tonio fan.
he's a sneaky guy. He's sneaky. I think he can upset some people. Because I mean, I still think Behrooz is overrated, and
I
and I
would.
kind of think Andrew Jack's a little overrated. He- He's he's
I
got
could see
he's
the
got
argument.
he's got a good physique. Something about his physique just doesn't sit right with me. It's almost artificial. Like there's something weird with his physique. And I don't know what went on during Dubai, but something it just looks weird. I, I don't know.
And I feel like also without Kamal, he may have issues because we saw this big increase in his placings when he started working with Kamal. Now they had this big notable breakup. I'm not sure he's going to be able to bring in the
Yeah.
same level of conditioning because that's really what Kamal was able to do was bring in that level of conditioning and really like the muscle fullness to the stage because of the training. And without that, I think he may start having some of the same issues where he's not completely peeled, or if he is, maybe he's a little bit undersized.
Yeah. Yeah, it'll be interesting. I don't think he's going to be his best. Um an overrated pre-workout meal and an underrated pre-workout meal.
Overrated. I think it's
Yeah.
on social media. They call it the bloat bowl. And it's like Rice Krispies with like a whey sludge drip, whatever they call it. And they're kind of almost making like Rice Krispies in a bowl. And I'm thinking, like, number one, I don't want to be bloated going into training, like you said. Yep,
Good stuff.
that's the bloat bowl. So I don't want to be bloated going into training. So I don't love the name in particular.
Yeah, that is bad marketing. This looks like what's in my toilet. Um, there you go. That's okay.
I also just really hate that everyone calls it whey drip now. And
Yeah.
I'm not saying I started it because I definitely not started the social trend, but I was making it like using protein powder to make frosting on my cream of rice and my oatmeal for several years now. I just called it like whey sludge or whey paste. Like, why is it a drip now? It's too thick to be a drip, I would say.
Yeah, I think Mark Lobliner was probably the first one to like make that popular because his whole what's his line from Tiger Fitness? He has his protein.
Like the
Uh,
MTS.
yeah. So he was like his blend of protein, it made the perfect sludge, but he always
Oh,
started calling it sludge. And this is back in like YouTube, like Matt Ogus Day, Scooby Day. Because like Matt Ogus had like Ogus Bowl or something. I don't know. Something that he kind of made popular, but yeah, I'm pretty sure Mark Lobliner made sludge popular. What's an
also, I'm not sure it
underrated?
really. Oh, I was like another overrated one. I'm not sure it counts as a meal, but Rice Krispie treats.
Uh,
I
yeah.
don't. That you should not be having a meal of just carbs. You need to have some protein with it.
Yeah.
And I don't love using protein powder right before the gym, just because it doesn't always digest super well with the amount of sweeteners that some of the companies use. So I don't love using like a lot of protein shakes. So I would say underrated is uh, regular cream of rice with fish. Not you don't mix the fish in, but just fish as a super digestible protein source that it doesn't
Yeah.
sit heavy on the stomach. It's easy to eat. You can put some hot sauce or some mustard on it. So it's easily digested there. Then you can have your cream rice that you can either have flavors or not with some berries. So you're still getting the micronutrients. You're getting easily digested carbs there, but you're not just adding on a bunch of protein powder there because most people are like having protein powder after the gym too. So I don't usually like having two protein powder meals back to back.
Yeah. Um, in my head, I'm just thinking of like a bowl of cream of rice with some like tilapia in there and some Old Bay sauce, seasoning.
Ben does that. Ben will mix his
Uh,
fish into the cream rice. I'm not to that level yet, but it's like a thing of like plain rice flour, maybe with a little bit of honey on top, some quick sugars, and then
yeah.
in a separate bowl next to it, fish.
No, dude,
Stop
if
the
I
white
eat
fish hate.
if I eat food, it's all going into one bowl and I mix it all together. Even when I'm like eating out, I will always like just smash it all together. Um,
I'm sure your
and
wife loves
overrated,
that.
yeah, yeah, overrated pre-workout meal, flavored cream of rice. I'm kind of like
I
over
would agree
that.
with that usually.
Yeah, like just do the plain and then put your protein in there with a little bit of fat if you go hypo. Um, but yeah, I think because I have some Elevate uh flavored ones because I wanted to see. I've never bought flavored ones. I was like, this is
Mm,
on sale. Let me see. It's not anything to buy again.
no.
Uh
I know she over there, she likes the muscle sport creamer eyes, but I think I tried having it once just because I was out of mind to let me have some of hers. And I was very sick of the flavor by the end of it.
yeah, yeah, I bet. Um let's see. Underrated, man, kind of bougie, but
Breaking out the shrimp.
no. Um like some sort of toast or bagel or something with like some avocado spread and then some salmon. Um, not don't be loading that stuff up with tons of avocado because I don't want all that extra fat in there. But
Mm.
I like that.
I think
Fish
for
again, fish pre-workout is freaking amazing. I feel so much better on it.
stop the fish hate. Everyone's like, "Oh, I
Yeah.
hate eating fish." I don't get it.
Yeah.
I love
And
fish.
I don't care. Like even tilapia, it gets such a bad rep too, just because a few farms got caught by like how their
Like 20
standards.
years ago.
Yeah. So I don't understand why people sit there and think like there's salmon farms that are bad. There's freaking cow farms that are bad. I mean, it's
Mm-hmm.
just tilapia is fine.
I
Like
would
if you're
argue that
eating gold,
tilapia is better than tuna because you get less mercury content.
yeah, yeah. And it doesn't have that much nutrients and barely any fat. But if you're eating goldfish, like from your fish tank, you got something wrong. Gym clothing brand.
Uh, Underrated. I would say that is widespread. I think Explosive Fibers has some good stuff out there. Overrated would be, I have a whole host of them, but I'm going to pick on Dark Sport because I
Okay.
just hate their marketing. A lot of them copy each other, but I really do not like Dark Sport. You don't need to be posting wolf emojis in all your posts and having these charms because you're running with the pack. Like, come on, it's a clothing brand. If you're an affiliate and you think you're part of this huge community, nobody knows your name. You have a code because they give out codes to just about anybody.
Yeah. Well, you took my overrated. I'll go with, man, there's so many. Uh, Lululemon.
Okay, I didn't even think of like the mainstream brands.
Yeah, man, why are you spending that much money on that stuff, man? I mean, because if not, then Gymshark, right? Like I don't like either of those.
See, I've gotten less resentful towards like the Gym Sharks and the Young LAs because I would never buy them personally,
Oh, Young LA.
but
Yeah.
I feel like they know their audience well. Like I mean, they're like the fitness influencer YouTuber type brands, kind of like the Define that you see all the girls wearing, where they're not a hardcore bodybuilding brand. I feel like
Yeah.
Dark Sport, they try and target like, oh, we're this hardcore brand for bodybuilders only.
And they're in
And
PacSun now.
yep.
That's awesome. Yeah, I forgot about Young LA. I changed that. Young LA. Yeah. I haven't even been shopping on any of these clothing places, so I don't know like what they've changed to, but I know Gymshark got really weird for a while. And
It's still
they
pretty
were
weird.
okay. Yeah, I haven't looked at anything, and they were pretty expensive for what they were giving you.
Yep.
Um, Underrated, man. I don't
Costco,
know.
Kirkland brand.
I've never, maybe I've never even looked at their clothes. I'm trying to think of a brand. Um, I don't know. Flag Nor Fell, if they would bring
I
their
do
stuff
like
back
them.
out. Yeah, they run out of stuff so quickly, and they only do a certain amount of drops.
Mhm.
So, and every time they throw stuff out, I buy it because I know it's not going to come back. Holidays. What's an overrated holiday and an underrated holiday?
Overrated. Maybe it's the bodybuilder in me, but I don't love Halloween just because I'm not going to be eating a bunch of chocolate candy anyways, even if it's Halloween. And I don't like horror movies because I'm a little scared person. So I don't like Halloween at all. Like, I know a lot of people do, but I do not like Halloween.
What's an underrated?
Oh, underrated. I do like Thanksgiving because I like eating real food, but that's pretty highly rated. So
Yeah.
I would say Memorial Day. Not for any kind of food or parties, but it's the start of summer. For a lot of people, they may have different hours for work in the summer versus in the winter. So it's nice kind of getting into that signal. The weather is getting a little bit warmer out. Usually the snow here in Minnesota is gone by then. So I'm going to go with Memorial Day.
Um, overrated Juneteenth.
Yep. I didn't even get to that holiday. I don't have to get off work.
I see it on the calendar and I'm like, why? Underrated, uh, President's Day. There's so many sales going on during President's Day.
Nope.
You know what I mean? I'm like, I don't even know what we're celebrating, but there's really good sales.
Yeah.
Um, what's an overrated cut of steak and an underrated cut of steak?
Overrated, I would say filet mignon or ribeyes would also be overrated. I feel like for vastly different reasons.
Yeah.
I think filet, because like, oh, it's so lean and tender. Maybe you're just cooking your other steak wrong if you're getting it super tough and chewy. And ribeyes, like I mentioned earlier in this podcast, full circle, they hurt my tum tum.
Yeah.
What would you say is overrated?
Overrated. I was thinking ribeye because it has so much fat on it.
I think you should
I
take two
still,
of them.
yeah. I mean, I think porterhouses are kind of overrated for the price of them. Yeah, porterhouse.
Can't say I've ever had one, to be honest.
They're like 32 ounces or more.
Or
Like,
isn't it like it's the combination of like a T-bone and something else?
yeah, it has a lot of fat on it too. I'm not a big fan of them. Yeah, but
I would say underrated. I'm eating it right now. Top round. I feel like there's a good level of leanness there, so it's not like this fat bomb that's going to mess up your entire day. It's relatively tender still because it's not super tough and chewy like an eye round. But you also, it's not like a sirloin where you're paying $12 a pound and everyone knows about it.
yeah, yeah. Uh, you know what? Overrated. Thinking about it, when I was shopping at Costco, beef tenderloin. Why is it so
That's filet
expensive?
mignon.
Oh, okay, it's
Filet
so
is it's a certain
expensive.
cut of the tenderloin.
Okay, okay. Anyways, underrated flank steak.
I do love being a flank steak. You have
I
to
think
cook it right
it's
though because it can get a little bit
yeah,
tough.
but you got to like marinate it really well. I think it takes
Yep.
on flavors really well, and you can. It's so versatile. So like I can use
Mm,
it for Asian, for Mexican food. Yeah,
yep.
really good.
I, I do like my good flanks. It's really good smoked as well.
It's good tartar.
I could see that.
Yeah. Overrated gym equipment brand. Underrated.
Atlantis. And I feel like most people are catching on to the fact that Panada is not a great brand if you're into bodybuilding. But I think they're still very big on a lot of Atlantis pieces. Like people love the Atlantis hack squad. A lot of them love like the Atlantis pull downs and everything. So I feel like it's people say, oh, Atlantis is one of the best bodybuilding brands out there. And I do not like it at all.
Yeah.
And I would say underrated. Everyone knows MegaMass these days. So I would say surprisingly Life Fitness. See, if
Yeah.
I remember correctly, Life Fitness was made by Cybex, and that shares some good stuff there.
Yeah, some of their new stuff is good. I like it. Smooth.
I feel like a lot of the Life Fitness pin loaded stuff is very good.
Yeah, yeah. Um, Overrated Arsenal.
Yep,
And underrated, I think it's because it's hard to find. Flex.
I do like me the Flex. Everyone makes like the knockoff Flex. I think like half the MegaMass line is knockoff Flex, and it is
Yeah.
fantastic. But again, it's just old, and I don't think it's being made anymore. So you
Yeah.
can't get it.
Oh man. Because original Cybex is definitely like it's not underrated, it's just hard to get.
Yep.
But like things that you can still buy as underrated. But the Flex, man, just I love their seated hamstring. It pulls your hamstring so much. It's like you're doing a stiff leg. It's
Ooh.
awesome. Um, that I think I already talked about it before, that gym clo or whatever.
Gymlico?
Yeah, Gymlico. Yeah, I think
Okay.
that's underrated. Yeah, I like that because they're freaking heavy, and I don't need to like move a lot of weight around the
Yep.
gym to fill it up. If I don't know why more companies don't do that, make it towards such a hard, uh, um, what's it called? Um, I'm
Uh,
I'm like brain farting.
hard weight ratio, hard leverage
Yeah, like
point.
yeah, leverage point. Like it just make it very hard, and then
Yep.
just I can throw some tens on instead of putting 245s. It's great. I
Yep.
love it.
I do like me some Gymlico. It's also really nice for a lot of home gyms or if your space is
Oh,
limited because most of them are pretty compact footprint. Like
yeah.
their leg press, it's a very narrow footprint. It's a little bit long, but not compared to other leg presses. And it hits so well.
Yeah, yeah, I love everything on it. Let's do one more. I am needing to eat some food. My brain is
Okay.
getting getting all foggy. Um, oh man, there's a couple on here that are good. Uh, what's a trend that you grew up around but you never followed?
For me, being born in 2000, making sure yeah, everyone feel old, I know, vaping. It was like there was all the memes when I was in school, like oh, like vaping in the bathroom, and when I went to some of my college classes, people were like having blueberry bubble gum flavored smoke whenever I walk somewhere. It was just so normal to have a vape in your pocket. And I have made some questionable choices about things I put in my body, as I have disclosed on this podcast. But I have never smoked, I have never vaped, and I guess I say never done heroin, but that's also not really a trend. I was leading into
It's
a
a
third thing there
trend.
and I couldn't think of one.
That's yeah, that trend is still going on.
Yes, yes, it is.
Uh, um, I've never worn Chucks. Yeah,
I never have either.
I never got into Chucks, never got into Jordans. I would buy Jordans and resell them, but I would never wear them.
I was
Um,
never into any of the shoe stuff. I don't understand the appeal of having like 100 pairs of shoes on your wall. Like, oh, look at my J collection or
yeah,
my New Balance collection. Like I buy shoes to wear them, and I'm gonna buy the New Balances that are $20 to go mow the lawn.
yeah, yeah. I never got a barbed wire tattoo on my arm. And I've never wore those puka shells necklaces.
Oh, yep.
I grew up with that back in the day. Yeah. Yeah, those are some trends I never followed. I unfortunately followed some bad trends. Uh, the bowl haircut after Saved by the Bell, Zach.
Yep.
You part it down the middle. That was terrible. And then everyone had this silver chain, like the silver linked chain is a specific one. It like was kind of like a it was like a long, like an oval shape kind of, and then had like a bar
Okay.
down the middle between each link. Um, those are pretty bad. And then sagging. I did sag my pants.
Shame on you.
And car in my car had tons of speakers in
I
it.
hate
That was
those people
terrible.
when I'm driving and I have all my windows closed and I can feel the car next to me. I don't want that. I have my own
Yeah.
music going. I don't want to hear your bass vibrating through the entire car.
Yeah, as an Integra, an Acura Integra, and like you can put change like coins on your the roof of your car and it'll float with depending on the song. Those bass mixes that you had back in the day on CD, you like rip them from LimeWire. Oh man, that's so dumb. Looking back,
Also,
so
more recent one, I've never been to a rave.
Me
and I
either.
have no desire to. I don't like EDM music. I don't love dubstep. I don't want loud flashing lights at 1 a.m. Just, I don't understand the appeal of it. Like if one of the bands that I like does a collaboration with like Illenium or Odessa, because it's very trendy to do that right now, I skip that song every time. I don't want to hear it.
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of the crowds anymore. I used to be very okay with it, going to concerts and stuff. But now, if I'm going to go to an event, a sporting event or concert, I'm spending the money and buying suites or box tickets.
Yep.
It's like when we went to Monster Truck, Monster Truck thing, Monster Jam. I
Okay.
just bought the box seats mistakenly. I was like, these are expensive tickets. And then I was like trying to find the seats. And then the lady was like, oh, you're through the suite door over there. I was like, what? My wife was like, how much money did you spend on this? It's for my kid's birthday. I'm like, yeah, I guess too much. Uh, but yeah, it was nice. I wasn't around a bunch of people, man.
Yeah.
Um, yeah. Yeah. Um, that's it. Uh, Thanks for hopping on. I needed someone
Yeah,
to talk to
absolutely. I'm
today.
sorry. If I had known we were going to be alone, I would have had someone else join us. Just I thought we had some other guests here, but Tommy decided to go to a car show instead, and he promised us pictures.
I
I
haven't
haven't
seen
seen
any.
any pictures. Have you seen any pictures?
No. I'm going to go
Okay.
send him a picture of my car and be like, where's your cars? This is my
Uh,
supercar, my super foreigner. Yeah.
well,
All right.
no, always
All
good
right.
chopping it up with you. It's always good just talking bodybuilding and getting me on a rant about something. It's always
Yeah.
fun. Appreciate you having me
I
on.
I got more questions too. So if you have time on Wednesday, me and Mike will pop on Wednesday. I don't know what time yet.
Okay,
And then I'll see if some other people have time that usually do during the week and not the weekend. So that's
cool.
it.